The marketplace on Zeta 9 station was loud, crowded, and full of strange smells. Daniel walked slowly between the stalls, hands in his pockets, keeping his head down. He had been living here for 3 months, fixing broken engines for almost no pay. Life was expensive on the station, and Daniel was close to running out of credits. He needed work, any work, but nobody seemed interested in hiring a human. Most aliens here saw humans as weak, unskilled, and not worth their time. Daniel stopped at a food stall, looking at a steaming bowl of alien soup he had not eaten since yesterday, but his credit balance was too low. He sighed and turned away, deciding to head back to his small sleeping pod. That was when he noticed them 2 tall alien women. Dressed in silver robes, they were beautiful in an unearthly way. Their eyes bright like molten gold, they stood out in the crowd. And they were looking straight at him. Daniel pretended not to notice and kept walking, but they followed, moving gracefully through the crowd. One of them called out, her voice soft but clear. "Human, we wish to speak with you." Daniel stopped, unsure what they wanted. He had learned that strangers on Zatanine often meant trouble. They walked closer, stopping, just an arm's length away. The first woman smiled, though her smile was strange, a little too perfect. "My name is Sorella, and this is Vera," she said. "We have a very important offer for you, one that will change your life." Daniel raised an eyebrow, his suspicion growing. "What kind of offer?" he asked, his voice cautious. Vera leaned closer, speaking so quietly that only he could hear. "We will pay you 50,000 credits." For one small thing. Daniel blinked, certain he had heard wrong. 50,000. For what? Stralis. Golden eyes sparkled. "For your nectar," she said. Daniel stared at them, confused. "My? What? Nectar? You mean honey or something?" The women exchanged a glance, as if amused. "It is difficult to explain in public," Sorella said. "It is something only certain human males can produce, and it is extremely rare." Daniel frowned, feeling a mix of curiosity and discomfort. He took a step back. "Sounds like a scam," he said. But Vera shook her head quickly, her tone urgent. "It is no scam. You are valuable, more valuable than you realize." Her eyes scanned the crowd nervously. "We should not be speaking here." Daniel felt uneasy. He wanted to walk away, but the amount they offered kept echoing in his mind. 50,000 credits could solve all his problems. It could buy him a new ship, maybe even a way back to Earth. But there was something in their eyes, a mix of desperation and fear, that told him this was more than just business. Before he could answer, Sorella's expression changed sharply. She glanced over his shoulder, her smile vanishing. "They've found us," she whispered. Daniel turned and saw them, 3 tall figures in black armor. Moving through the crowd, their helmets covered their faces. But their movements were fast and precise. The way they looked at him made his skin crawl. The armored aliens began to push people aside, heading straight toward them. "What is going on?" Daniel demanded, his heart pounding. "No time," Vera said, grabbing his arm. "If you want to live, come with us." Daniel resisted for a moment. "Why?" "Who are those?" Sorella pulled him forward with surprising strength. "They will take you, cage you, and drain you until there is nothing left." The words sent a chill through Daniel. He didn't know if she was lying, but the way the armored aliens moved made him think twice. The crowd grew louder as people noticed the black armored figures. Some backed away in fear. Others quickly left the market entirely. Daniel stumbled after the 2 women, his mind racing. They weaved through the stalls, turning sharply into a narrow side alley. The sound of heavy boots followed close behind. Vera tapped something on her wrist, and a sleek silver door slid open in the alley wall. "Inside," she ordered. Daniel hesitated. But the sound of the armored aliens growing closer made his choice for him. He jumped inside, and the door sealed behind them with a hiss. They stood in a small, dimly lit room with strange glowing panels on the walls. Daniel's breathing was heavy, his heart still racing. "Now," Sorella said, her golden eyes locking on his, "we will explain everything. But you must agree to come with us, because out there, you are already marked prey." Daniel swallowed hard. He still didn't understand what this nectar was. He still didn't know why strangers would pay a fortune for it. But one thing was clear. Whatever was happening, it was only just beginning. Daniel felt the hum of the walls around him as the silver door locked into place, sealing away the noise of the market outside. His breath came fast, and his palms were damp. The two alien women moved with calm precision, like they had done this before. One of them pressed her hand to a glowing panel, and a soft blue light swept over him from head to toe. "What was that?" Daniel asked, trying to keep his voice steady. "A scent scrub," Vera replied. Her tone made a fact, "to hide you from trackers." Daniel's head was spinning. Nothing about this made sense. He had fixed hundreds of broken things in his life, ships, machines, tools, but he had never been the broken thing himself. And that's how it felt now, like something about him had been found and targeted. Sorella stepped closer, her eyes catching the dim light. "You have something rare inside you, human. Something our people value more than gold or royal titles." Daniel gave a short, sharp laugh. "I don't have anything rare, unless you count a stomach that can handle bad station food." Vera's lips curved into a faint smile, but it didn't. "Reach her eyes. You do not understand the nectar you produce. It is not a drink. It is not even for humans. It is for us." The word hung in the air like a cold mist. Daniel felt his chest tighten. "You keep saying nectar, but you won't say what it actually is." Sorella exchanged a look with Vera. A silent conversation passing between them. Then she said, "It is a biological fluid, created only by human males of a certain genetic line. The galaxy calls it nectar because it is sweet to the senses and powerful in effect. A single vial can heal diseases, extend life, and create life where there was none." Daniel stared at her, unsure whether to laugh or be angry. "So you're telling me I'm some kind of alien medicine cabinet?" Vera shook her head. "Not medicine, more. A key. There are entire bloodlines that depend on it. The wealthiest houses in the galaxy pay fortunes for even a drop. You, Daniel, could make a queen herself. Bow for it." The words hit him like a punch. He thought about the black-armored aliens in the market, the way they moved toward him with such certainty. Those soldiers. "They wanted me because of this." "Yes," Sorella said simply, "and they will keep coming as long as you are unclaimed." Daniel rubbed his temples, feeling trapped. "So what now?" "You just keep me here and take what you need." Vera stepped forward, her voice dropping low. "We will keep you safe, feed you, give you more wealth than you could ever imagine. In exchange, you produce nectar only for us. No one else. It sounded like an offer, but Daniel could hear the steel in her words. It was a cage with soft walls. "And if I say no?" he asked. Sorella's smile returned, faint and unreadable. "Then we will have to let you go. And the next people who find you will not ask so kindly." Silence filled the room for a long moment. The faint hum of the ship's systems, the only sound. Daniel's instinct screamed that this was dangerous, but so was walking back into the station. If they were telling the truth, he could be hunted anywhere he went. Vera touched a panel again, and the wall behind her slid open to reveal a long, curved corridor. "Come," she said, "you should see where you will be staying." Daniel followed reluctantly, the air in the corridor warmer, scented with something sweet and unfamiliar. They passed through doorways made of liquid light that rippled as they stepped through. The walls were lined with strange alien symbols that seemed to shift when you looked at them too long. Finally, they stepped into a large chamber bathed in Soft golden light, the walls were covered in flowing fabric that shimmered like water. In the center was a reclining chair shaped to fit the body perfectly. Beside it stood a silver table holding an assortment of devices, each one humming faintly. Daniel felt his pulse quicken. What is this place? Soralla's voice was smooth. The extraction chamber. Here your nectar is collected safely, comfortably, and without harm. We have the best technology for it. You will not even feel pain. Daniel took a step back, his eyes flicking to the door. I'm not agreeing to anything yet. Vera tilted her head, studying him. No one is forcing you yet. But you should know, the longer we wait, the more dangerous it becomes for you. Already, others have scented you. They will not stop. Daniel's jaw tightened. You keep saying I'm valuable, but to me, it sounds like I'm just a resource to be drained. Soralla's expression softened. And for a moment, she almost looked sad, perhaps. But you could also be much more with the wealth this brings. You could buy a ship, a crew, even an army. You could choose who. Get your nectar and change the balance of power in the galaxy. It was tempting, dangerously tempting, and Daniel hated that he felt it. The idea of being in control instead of hunted was like a bright flame in the dark, but somewhere deep down, he still didn't trust them. The hum of the walls deepened suddenly, and the lights flickered. Vera's expression sharpened. She touched her wrist device, and a holographic screen flared to life, showing a cluster of ships moving fast toward them, their dark hulls marked with the same black sigil Daniel had seen on the armored soldiers. They've found us, Vera said, her voice tight. Daniel's throat went dry. Whatever choice he thought he had, it was slipping away fast, and he realized that if he stayed here much longer, the choice might vanish completely. Asterisk the golden light of the chamber shifted to red as alarms pulsed softly through the walls. Daniel's heartbeat matched the rhythm. Fast and heavy, Sorella moved first. Sweeping the silver devices from the table into a slim black case, Vera was already at the far wall, her fingers flying over a control panel that responded with a chorus of alien tones. They're jamming our comms, Vera said, her voice low but sharp, and they're fast, too fast. Daniel's eyes flicked to the holographic display still glowing in the air. The cluster of ships was closer now, spreading out like a predator's claws around a smaller creature. What do they want? He asked, though the answer was obvious. You? Sorella replied without looking at him. And they will tear this station apart to get you. A deep vibration rumbled through the floor as the ship's engines spun up. Daniel could feel the hum under his boots. Vera's eyes narrowed. We have 2 minutes before they breach the outer dock. Daniel's chest tightened. He wasn't sure what scared him more, the thought of those black armored soldiers finding him, or what Sorella and Vera planned to do to keep him. We can't fight them, he asked. Not head on, Vera said. They're faster. They have boarding tech that can cut through hulls like paper. Sorella moved to him, her golden eyes locking on his. We can get out if you cooperate. There is a chamber on this ship that can hide your biological signal completely. Without it, they will track us anywhere we go. Daniel felt a wave of cold suspicion. And what's inside this chamber? A shield pod, she said smoothly. But it is also where we can secure your nectar for safekeeping if we must. He shook his head, backing toward the door. I'm not climbing into some alien box so you can lock me away. Vera's voice cut through the air. Sharper now. If they take you, you won't have the luxury of saying no. The ship shuddered violently as something slammed against its hull. Daniel stumbled, catching himself on the wall. Muffled thuds echoed from faraway boarding clamps, connecting them to the enemy ships. Sorella's hand was suddenly on his shoulder, firm and unyielding. Daniel, we're out of time. He saw it then. The glimmer of something unspoken in her eyes, a fear she was trying to hide, whatever these attackers wanted. They weren't allies of the two women, and they definitely weren't about to treat him gently. The lights flickered as Vera pulled a sleek silver weapon from a hidden compartment. "I'll hold them off, Sorella. Get him to the pod." Daniel's head whipped between them. "Wait, you're splitting up." "There's no choice," Vera said, her voice like steel. "The boarding party will come straight for the chamber. I can slow them down, but only if you're already hidden." Sorella gripped his wrist and pulled him into the corridor. The air was thicker here, laced with the sharp temps of burning metal as the ship's systems strained under attack. They passed through the rippling doorways again, this time faster, Sorella's silver robe trailing behind like a streak of light. Another violent shudder rocked the ship, and somewhere above, the sound of metal tearing screamed through the air. Daniel could hear distant voices, not human, low and guttural, shouting orders in a language he couldn't understand. "Almost there," Sorella said, her voice tight. They turned sharply and came to a small round room with a single glass-like pod in the center. It glowed faintly from within, condensation clouding its surface. Daniel stared at it. "That's it." "Yes," she said, pressing a code into the panel. The pod's lid slid open with a hiss, revealing a padded interior shaped to fit a body. "Once you're inside, it will disguise your presence completely." He didn't move, every instinct telling him this was a trap. "And if I refuse?" Her eyes darkened. "Then we both die when they find us." Footsteps echoed from the corridor they'd just left, heavy and synchronized. Sorella's gaze flicked toward the sound, then back to him. "Daniel, please," she said, and for the first time her voice cracked. Daniel's stomach knotted. He didn't know why. But that small break in her perfect tone made him believe her. Maybe just enough. He stepped toward the pod, climbing in as the cold padding pressed against his back. The lid began to slide shut when the first black-armored soldier stepped into the room, his helmet turning toward them with slow precision. Sorella spun toward him, her hand flashing to the weapon at her side. The soldier raised a long, curved blade. The lid sealed with a hiss, plunging Daniel into dim silence. He could hear only the faint hum of the pod systems and the muffled sounds of movement outside. Something thudded against the pod wall. Once, twice, then stopped. The hum deepened, and his vision blurred slightly, as if the pod was doing more than just hiding him. His breathing slowed without him trying, a strange warmth spreading through his chest, and then a whisper in the darkness, not Sorella's voice, not Vera's, but something unknown. "We have found you, Daniel," it said softly, "and we will find you again." The hum of the pod faded, and Daniel's eyes opened to darkness. The glass lid above him was gone. The golden walls of Sorella's ship were gone. He was lying on a cold metallic floor. The air tasted different. Here, dry and metallic, he sat up quickly, scanning his surroundings. The room was circular, the walls smooth and black. Faint light came from thin lines carved into the surface in the center. A single chair stood like a throne made of bone. Daniel's pulse hammered in his ears. "Where am I?" he whispered. A voice answered from the shadows, deep and calm. "Not where you were, human." From the darkness stepped a tall figure in black armor, taller than the soldiers in the station. His helmet was gone, revealing pale gray skin and eyes like shards of ice. His gaze cut through Daniel, sharp and unblinking. "You were being wasted," the figure said, "given to merchants who would sell your nectar to the weak and desperate." Daniel's jaw tightened. "So you're what? Here to buy it for yourself?" The alien's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Buy? No, human. I am here to claim it, as is my right." He circled Daniel slowly, like a predator studying prey. "You know what you are worth, do you not? One vial of your nectar could secure an alliance between entire worlds. 10 vials could make a king. Daniel stood, his hands curling into fists. I'm not giving you anything. The alien's laugh was low, humorless. You think you have a choice. But choices are for the powerful. You are valuable. Yes. But value is only kept by those who can hold it. The walls shifted slightly, revealing narrow doorways where 2 more armored figures stood, each holding a weapon shaped like a hooked spear. Their presence was silent but heavy. Daniel's mind raced. If he was truly off Sorella's ship, then either she had lost him or she had given him up. The thought burned in his chest. The tall alien stepped closer until Daniel could see faint scars running down his cheek. We will keep you alive, well-fed, and safe. In return, you will give us what we want. Often, Daniel's voice was cold. And if I refuse? The alien leaned in, his breath faintly bitter. Then your value will end, and so will you. Before Daniel could reply, a deep rumble shook the floor. The light lines in the walls flickered. One of the guards at the doorway turned sharply. As a distant explosion echoed through the black chamber, the leader's eyes narrowed. She's here, he muttered. Daniel's heart kicked in his chest. Who? But he already knew, the air filled with the high-pitched whine of cutting beams. The walls glowed red at a single point, then split open with a spray of molten metal. Through the opening stepped Sorella. Her silver robes torn, her golden eyes burning like fire. Daniel, move. She shouted. The guards surged forward, their hooked spears slicing the air. Sorella twisted, her hands snapping up a weapon that hissed with blue energy. The first guard fell in a single strike. The second caught her arm, but she spun with impossible pointer plays. Impossible speed, kicking him into the bone-like throne. The leader drew a blade that hummed with a dark red glow. You cannot win, Sorella, he said. His voice calm despite the chaos. She smiled faintly. I don't need to win. I just need to take what's mine. Daniel didn't wait to hear more. He sprinted toward her, ducking as the leader's blade cut the air where his head had been. Heat brushed his skin. Sorella grabbed his wrist and yanked him through the breach in the wall. They ran through a narrow corridor of shifting black metal, the walls changing shape behind them as if alive. Alarms echoed, sharp and piercing. Where are we? Daniel panted. A raider hive, she said. Her voice clipped. Built from stolen ships, full of killers, and you came here for me. She glanced at him, her golden eyes fierce. You think I would let them take you? There are worse fates than me owning you, Daniel. They burst into a docking bay where a small, sleek craft waited with its ramp down. Vera stood at the controls, her silver hair disheveled. Hurry. She yelled behind them. The leader appeared. His armor scorched but unbroken, his blade still glowing. You cannot run forever.
Damn,
he called out. Sorella turned, raising her weapon. I don't plan to, she said, firing a blinding pulse of blue light that struck the ceiling above him, sending a rain of molten metal down. Daniel stumbled onto the ship's ramp. Vera hit a control, and the hatch slammed shut just as the craft lifted off. The roar of engines filling Daniel's ears. The view through the cockpit window showed the hive shrinking into the black of space, explosions rippling across its twisted surface. But Daniel's relief was short-lived because Sorella turned to him with a look that was both victory and warning. You see now, Daniel, she said quietly. There is no safe place for you in this galaxy. Her words settled in his chest like ice. Because he knew she was right, and worse, he was starting to believe that staying with her might be the only way to survive. The small craft slid through the void like a silver blade, its engines a low whisper beneath Daniel's feet. The adrenaline from the escape still clung to him, his breathing shallow, his muscles tight. Sorella sat across from him, calm as if she had not just fought her way through a hive of raiders. Vera was at the controls, her eyes fixed on the starlit path ahead. The cockpit bathed in faint blue light outside. The stars streaked as they moved into faster-than-light travel. Daniel's mind spun with questions, but one pressed to the front. "Why?" he asked, his voice rough. "Why risk all that for me?" Sarala leaned back, her golden eyes never leaving his. "Because you are worth more than they can imagine, and I don't intend to let my investment fall into someone else's hands." Daniel's hands curled into fists. "So that's it. I'm just an investment." Her lips curved slightly. "At the moment, yes, but investments can grow into something much greater." He stared at her, trying to read past the perfect face and smooth words. But she was a wall, no cracks to see through. "And what's your plan?" "Keep me locked up and drain me whenever you need more nectar." Vera's voice floated from the cockpit without turning around. "You speak as if we are monsters, Daniel. We offer comfort, safety, and wealth beyond what you have ever known, in exchange for what you can provide. No one else will give you that choice." Daniel's jaw tightened. Choice doesn't mean much when the other option is death. Sarala tilted her head slightly. As if amused, "You're learning." The silence stretched, filled only by the soft hum of the ship. Finally, Daniel leaned forward, his eyes narrowing. "If I stay, I want terms." Vera glanced back at him, one eyebrow raised. "Terms? Yes." Daniel said, "I don't work for free, and I don't work like a prisoner. If you want my nectar, you give me freedom. Real freedom. Not just a bigger cage." Sarala studied him for a long moment, then said, "What do you want?" "I want my own quarters. My own access to comms. I want to know where we're going and who we're dealing with." No more secrets. Her golden eyes shimmered, and in return, he said slowly, "I'll give you what you're asking for, but only on my schedule." "Not whenever you decide." Vera gave a low laugh. "You speak like a man who believes he still holds the stronger hand." Daniel met her gaze. "Maybe I don't. But you wouldn't be here if I wasn't worth the risk. That means you need me alive. And I can use that?" The women exchanged a glance, a silent conversation passing between them. Finally, Sarala gave a small nod. "Very well, Daniel. You have your terms, for now." Daniel knew that last part was the trap. For now meant they could change the deal whenever they decided it suited them. But it was a start, and a small spark of control was better than none. He sat back, letting the tension in his shoulders ease just slightly, but his mind kept turning. If his nectar was as valuable as they said, then every powerful figure in the galaxy would want it. And maybe, just maybe, he could play them against each other. A sharp tone from the console broke the moment. Vera's fingers danced over the controls, her eyes narrowing. "We have an incoming transmission. From who?" Sarala asked. Vera's lips pressed together. "A royal channel." Daniel felt a knot tighten in his gut. "Royal?" Sarala rose and stepped into the cockpit. The screen lit up, and the face of a tall alien woman filled the space, her features sharper, more commanding than Sarala's, her crown made of black crystal, her eyes deep violet. "Sarala," the woman said, her voice like velvet over steel, "you have something that belongs to the crown." Sarala's smile was polite, "If you mean the human. He belongs to no one." The woman's violet eyes shifted toward Daniel, and for a moment he felt as if she could see straight through him. "Human male." She said slowly, "Your nectar could restore a dying bloodline." "Mine. I am willing to make you an offer that will free you from these merchants." Sarala's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. "He is under my protection." The Queen's lips curved faintly. "Protection is temporary. Sarala, the crown is forever." The transmission cut without warning, the screen going black. Vera's hands tightened on the controls. "She knows where we are." Daniel leaned back, his pulse quickening. He had just become a bargaining piece in a game between a merchant queen and a royal crown. And for the first time, he realized that the biggest danger wasn't the raiders or the soldiers, it was the people willing to offer the most to own him. The ship slowed as it dropped out of faster-than-light travel. The stars stopped streaking, and a massive shape filled the view ahead. Daniel stood beside the cockpit window, staring at a royal cruiser unlike anything he had ever seen. Its black crystal towers rose like a floating palace, sharp edges catching the light of a nearby star. Vera's voice was low. "We're already caught in their docking field." Sarala's face was unreadable, but her fingers tapped the armrest of her chair in a slow rhythm. She wastes no time. Daniel swallowed. "So what happens now? You're just taking me to her." Sarala turned her golden gaze on him. "We're not taking you to her. She's pulling us in, and if we refuse, she'll tear this ship apart to get you." The pull of the docking field was steady and unyielding. The palace ship growing larger until it filled the entire forward view, its hull glimmering with faint moving patterns. As if alive, moments later, the craft slid into a massive hangar bathed in deep violet light. The air shimmered faintly. Carrying a scent like cold rain on stone, the hatch opened without anyone touching the controls. A line of royal guards waited outside, their armor polished black, their spears tipped with violet energy. At the center of the line stood the alien queen from the transmission, her crown glowing faintly now. Daniel stepped down the ramp between Sarala and Vera, the guard's eyes following him like predators sizing up prey. The queen's violet gaze locked on him. "Human male," she said softly. "You may call me Queen Shirath." Daniel kept his voice even. "And you want my nectar?" Her lips curved slightly. "I do not want it. I need it. Without it, my line ends, and with it, my reign continues for centuries." Sarala's golden eyes narrowed. "You could have made an alliance with me for that." Instead of stealing him, Shirath's voice was velvet but cold. "You barter with something you do not understand, Sarala. You see a rare commodity. I see the survival of an empire." Daniel's pulse pounded in his ears. He didn't want to be in this argument. But both women were talking about him as if he were a prize on a table. "What if I don't agree to either of you?" he asked. The queen's smile didn't fade. "Then you will stay as my guest until you change your mind, and in my palace. Time always changes the mind." The words sent a chill through him. They weren't a threat in tone, but they carried the weight of absolute certainty. Vera stepped slightly in front of him. "He's not your property." The queen tilted her head. "Nor is he yours," she said, then looked back at Daniel. "I am offering you more than they can power, protection, and the throne's loyalty. In exchange, you give me what I require, willingly?" Sarala's voice was ice. "Her protection comes at the cost of your freedom." Daniel, he looked between them, feeling the walls closing in. The queen's eyes burned with purpose. Sarala's eyes with possession. Both dangerous in different ways. "If I were to agree," he said slowly, "it would be on my terms." Shirath's brow arched slightly. "Speak them. I'm not a prisoner. I come and go when I choose, and I decide when and to whom I give my nectar." The queen's smile deepened. "That can be arranged if you choose me." Sarala's voice was sharp. "She lies. Daniel, once she has you, you will never leave this palace again." The air between them thickened. The guards shifted slightly, their spears humming. Daniel realized the wrong choice here could end in blood before he took his next breath. The queen took one slow step forward, the violet light dancing in her eyes. "Daniel, your species has always underestimated the value of what it creates, but I see it, I honor it. Choose me, and you will never fear again." Before he could answer, a sharp alarm rang through the hangar. The light shifted from violet to red. One of the guards pressed a hand to his helmet. Your Majesty, incoming ships heavily armed. Sarala's lips curved faintly. My reinforcements. The Queen's gaze snapped to her. You dare bring a fleet into my territory. Not a fleet, Sarala said, her voice calm but deadly. Just enough to take back what's mine. Daniel stood frozen between them as the hangar doors began to rumble open again, revealing shapes in the void beyond, silver and fast. In that moment, he understood he wasn't being fought over for his life, he was being fought over for his value, and no matter who won, he would never truly be free unless he found a way to take himself out of their game entirely. The hangar shook as silver ships darted into view, their sleek forms gliding past the edges of the massive palace vessel. Sarala's reinforcements spread in a tight formation, their weapons glowing faint blue against the black of space. The Queen's guards tensed, gripping their spears tighter. Daniel's eyes moved from one side to the other. The air was thick with the hum of power, the weight of two forces ready to clash over him. His stomach twisted. He knew if he stayed, still, one of them would win, and either way, he'd lose. Queen Shireth's voice cut through the noise, calm but sharp. Stand down, Sarala. This is my claim. Sarala's golden gaze didn't waver. You can't claim what doesn't belong to you. Daniel's mind was working faster than his fear. He remembered the words both women had used. Words about value, bloodlines, politics. He realized neither truly cared for him, only for what he could give, and that meant his worth was his only weapon. He took a step forward, drawing both their gazes. Enough, he said, his voice steady. You're both fighting over me like I'm some trophy, but here's the truth. Without me, neither of you gets what you want. The Queen's violet eyes narrowed slightly. Choose wisely. Human Sarala's tone was almost a warning. Daniel, he held up a hand, cutting her off. No, I'm choosing differently, he said. I'm not choosing either of you. I'm choosing me. Confusion flickered in their eyes. He took another step, speaking louder now so even the guards could hear. If either of you tries to take me by force, I'll make sure no one ever gets a drop of nectar from me. Not now, not ever. The Queen's gaze sharpened. You would destroy something so rare. Daniel's voice was cold. If it's the only way to keep my freedom. Yes. A long silence followed. The hum of the hangar seemed louder. Sarala's expression shifted from anger to something almost like admiration. You'd burn the prize, just to win the game. Exactly, Daniel said. And here's my offer. You both walk away. You both stop hunting me, and in time, if I decide, I might trade with you. But on my terms, and my terms only. The Queen's guards shifted uncomfortably, their eyes darting to her. Shirath's face was unreadable for a long moment. Then she gave a slow, measured smile. You are more dangerous than I thought. Human Sarala's lips curved faintly. Told you, she said, her voice dripping with quiet pride. Though Daniel wasn't sure if it was pride for him or pride that she'd chosen someone capable of this. The Queen turned to her guards. Stand down, she ordered. Let him leave, for now. Daniel didn't miss the weight in those last two words. She wasn't giving up. She was waiting, but that was fine for now. He had room to breathe. Sarala gestured toward her ship, and Daniel walked toward it without looking back. Each step felt heavier, not because of fear, but because he knew. The galaxy had just seen him as more than a prize. He was now a player, as the hatch closed behind him. Vera's eyes met his. I didn't think you'd pull that off, she said, her tone holding a rare trace of respect. Daniel sank into a seat, letting the hum of Sarala's ship surround him again. I didn't think I would either, he admitted. Sarala appeared in the doorway, leaning against the frame. You've made enemies today, Daniel, powerful ones. He met her gaze. Then I guess I'll have to be just as powerful. Her golden eyes shimmered. Careful, human. Power is a dangerous nectar, even more dangerous than yours. He gave a faint smile. Good thing I'm getting used to people wanting what they can't have. Outside, the silver ships pulled away from the Queen's palace, the massive vessel shrinking in the distance until it was swallowed by the dark. Somewhere out there, she was already planning her next move, and Sarala was no doubt planning hers. Daniel leaned back, the stars stretching ahead like an open road for the first time since this all began. He felt the weight of choice in his own hands, and he intended to keep it there, no matter who came for him next.